Hey, what's going on guys? Quamii here, and welcome back to the channel. So I've been getting a lot of questions lately from new players about survival rate and how to increase it, but also things along the lines of, I'm dying too much, what am I doing wrong, and what do I do about it? So that's going to be the title of today's educational video. We're going to be talking about why you keep dying and how to increase your survival rate in Escape from Tarkov. This video won't just be aimed at beginners or new players. It's for players in general and who have been struggling with survival rate and trying to live through their raids, and they can't really figure out how to improve here on in. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about survival rate and how important it is to the players. I will talk about some other things in regards to survival rate that will help increase your knowledge so you can take it on board and improve your game from there. And don't worry, I'm going to put it into sections into the video so it will be easy for you guys to navigate so you can go find what you're looking for in particular. So if that sounds good to you, my friend, don't forget to like the video if you found it useful, and also hit that subscribe button for me. Subscribing helps me out quite a bit, guys. Especially with the growth of the channel, so thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. And of course, feel free to leave a comment down below if you feel like you have any questions that you want to ask me, or if you just want to add some of your own thoughts. That's cool with me. Feel free to drop by the live stream and say hello sometime. I do stream 6 days a week at twitch.tv/Quamii. All other details you need to know will be in the description box below. Now we got all that stuff out of the way, guys. Let's get started. Okay, so let's start from the top. Survival rate. What is it? Your survival rate is a percentage that your character survives their raids. So if you, out of 200 raids, you survive 100, that means you got a 50% survival rate. And generally people have about 40 to 50% survival rate, and that's generally considered okay. If you have a 60% survival rate, that's generally pretty good. If you got above 70%, that's pretty damn good. And if you have above 80%, then you're probably one of the top players in the game. Very common question that I get is, does it actually matter? And how important is it? And to be honest, it's a kind of a funny question because it's kind of confusing because of what the answer is. And this is the honest answer. Yes and no, it matters. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what the hell does that even mean? I'm going to explain to you what it means. The answer is yes, because it symbolizes how much you survive your raids, which is obviously very important. But no, because if you think about it, in actuality, there are people who pretty much just avoid all PvP, and their sole purpose is to make rubles and just not ever be seen by another person, and they'll just sit there and they'll hide for the majority of the raid, and you'll never find them unless they of course shoot you in the back and you just don't see them, which I'm sure has happened to a lot of yous. So when people ask me, does that higher percentage of your survival rate, does it really matter? And I say yes and no, and then this is the example that I give them when I'm talking about this, especially on my live streams. I say, think about it like this. Imagine the player who just sits there in a bush all game for the entire raid, and he literally never moves until it's time to go, and he pretty much just shoots people in the back, and then he obviously survives his raids a lot because no one ever sees him. Now, is that player considered a good player in your eyes? For me, I would answer that as a no, because that guy or that person is just sitting in a bush shooting people in the back. I would not consider them a good player. So naturally, that player is going to have a somewhat high survival rate. While on the other hand, you get other players who will run to every single gunshot on the map that they hear just to fight the other players. That player is going to be way more experienced at handling any kind of situation that they're put under. So naturally, that player is going to be better at PvPing and a better player overall at Escape from Tarkov than the player who just decides to sit there and let everyone sort of run past him and he'll just shoot him in the back and, you know, no one ever sees him. And that's why the answer is yes and no. But the answer is a yes at the same time, because the more you survive, the more rubles you'll make from your raids, and the more loot and gear you will accumulate to fill your stash and also to complete your quests. But look, man, it's entirely up to you. Do you want to be the player who survives most of his raids but you never fight anyone? Or do you want to be the guy who survives a little bit less than that, but you're winning almost all of your fights? It's your choice. It's entirely up to you how you want to play the game. But for me, I would rather be the guy who wins the majority of my fights and still has a fairly high survival rate, and I'm running out of that raid with all the loot, feeling damn good about myself. And also, at the same time, if you really want to make rubles and build a stash, you need to survive your raids at least like 50+% of the time. Because if you keep dying all the time, it's very, very difficult to try and build that stash up, try and make your rubles, get some gear, and not to mention complete your quests. Like it makes it extremely, extremely tough. So you do need to keep surviving in order to be able to extract from your raids and start selling them to the traders, or put them up on the flea market, whichever it is, and then start building that bankroll. So that's the honest answer about survival rate and how important it is. So now you know. Alright, so we're going to move on to the next topic, and we're going to be talking about why do you keep dying. So I've noticed a lot of common things that happens with players in this game, in regards to why they keep dying. They tend to make very similar mistakes, and they're not really sure why it keeps happening to them. And it's because of these mistakes. I was also doing these things, and I had to figure out what I was doing wrong. I probably should have mentioned this at the start of the video, but I actually went from 63% survival rate, and that's the best I could do on one of the previous wipes. And I couldn't get more than that because I kept dying, and I didn't understand why, so I had to figure it out. And then I kept watching back my gameplay, and I kept working on it, and I kept figuring out my mistakes, and I went all the way to 73 to 74-ish% survival. I think I was like 74% for like one raid, and then I lost it, but it doesn't matter. The point is, I did like a 10% difference in surviving, which is a big deal. That is a big deal to change from 63% all the way to 73%. So I'm going to tell you guys the things that I did to kind of help you educate yourselves about what you can do for yourself, for your own gameplay, and that you can start surviving your raids more. And one of the main issues, and this is probably the number one issue that I see with players and why they keep dying, it's the fact that when they kill a player, there is this popular misconception in their mind that they have killed this player, the body is there, the dead body's there, so that loot is now mine, so I have to go and loot that body. No, that is incorrect. No, that's how you keep dying, okay? So, let me explain my reasoning. Just because you killed this particular body, wherever the hell it is on the map, does not mean that is yours. But you feel like, oh, I killed him, I deserve that. I've got to go and get it right now. And then you go and jump on the body, and then you're instantly dead. And it's funny because a lot of people will probably rage and, start going off on a tangent saying, oh, what are this guy's a pussy, and he's camping, but he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's watching his teammate's body, he's securing his gear. It's your damn fault for not clearing the goddamn area. Every time you kill a body, you have to accept that you may not be able to loot that body, okay? Because if you have that mindset of, I killed it, that is now mine, you're going to tunnel vision, and you're going to try and just you don't clear the area properly, you don't check your corners, and you're not thinking about other people watching me. You don't know. There may be a third party just watching from afar, just watching you and this other guy fight it out, and then there's just another guy just sitting way back, and he's got a sniper rifle, and he's just waiting for you to jump on the body, and the second you touch the body, boom, head tap. And I'm sure it's happened to you before, because it's happened to me plenty too. And they don't even think about the circumstances or the certain spot that the dead body's in. They just immediately think, oh, I've killed that guy, that's now mine. And there could be so much more going on in the game, and that you haven't even thought of. Like, is there another spawn point close by for other players? They could be very, very close because they spawn right next to where you guys just had that fight. And like, if I decide to jump on this body right now and start looting, if another player rolled up on me, would I survive that encounter with that player? This is just the things to consider in your mind. Like, have I healed enough? Have I repacked enough of my bullets into my magazines so I can actually take on another fight? So it's like the start of the raid, and people are running at dorms, for example, and then you get into a fight outside of dorms, right outside of dorms, and then you kill a player or two, and you're like, oh, great. But you don't think about, there's probably other players running to dorms too. So chances are they're just standing there looking at you, just like waiting for you to make a mistake. And you don't even think about that. And that's something to definitely consider. At that particular time in the raid, there's probably other jokers just trying to get into dorms. And if you had a huge gunfight, obviously they heard it. So they're going to be around. So you can't loot those bodies until you clear like pretty much all of dorms, which is really tough. And most people don't even think about that sort of stuff. They're just like, oh, I killed this guy, I'm gonna go grab his loot, just like that. Another common mistake and issue that I see with a lot of players is they simply take way too long to loot. And I'm talking about after they're looting a body and they are taking so damn long to grab everything that's on that body. So they'll loot the pockets, all the bags, even open the rig, and literally unpacking mags right out in the open, like when they're on the body. It's like, bro, I get that ammo is very important right now, right? It makes sense. You want the ammunition. I get it. But don't do it right there. I've said this before in my other in my Tarkov guide videos. Something that keeps me alive is that I'll grab everything, put it in the enemy's bag or my own bag, and I'll take it to a safer location, and then I'll unravel everything and sort out what I want and what I don't want. Don't do it on the spot, right in the open, where everyone can see you, basically. So my advice is just do a quick loot. Just grab everything, like the helmet, the rig, or whatever, put it in the bag, and then pick it up and then run off with it. Just try and be as quickly as possible. So this next one is a real simple one, and I really shouldn't have to say this one. This one should be obvious, but from what I've seen and from what other people have told me, like, apparently I have to explain everything. So I'm gonna say it. Don't just stand there and loot the body, like standing up. Please, for the love of God, at least go crouch. At least go crouch. If not, it's better to go prone, because when you're prone, like, yeah, it's harder for you to get away. But if you're trying to argue with me, oh, by standing up, I can run away. If you're standing still and you're looting a body, you're not moving, and someone misses a headshot on you, then something's wrong, okay? Because you shouldn't be alive. So by going prone, you cover up your head and parts of your body, and you make it much more difficult for them to be able to get the angle and get the headshot on you. When you're standing up, pretty much everyone on the map can see you from so many different angles in comparison to you going prone. So apparently I have to explain this, but there you go. More or less, it comes down to this. You need to learn to loot faster and more efficiently. Every second you take to loot is an additional second you're giving someone the potential to get an angle on you and shoot you and kill you. Another important one is your pathing. Now, pathing is super important because the way you move and how you move throughout the terrain in the map is potentially saves your life. Just one example that I've seen that a lot of players do, it's like at the start of a raid, they just like run right out into the open, like on Shoreline, just for example. So anywhere southeast of the map on Shoreline, it's pretty much just open field, and other players will spawn close by, and they have a habit of just sitting up on a hilltop or something like that, and they'll just sit there and snipe and wait for people to run out in the open, and it's just easy kills, easy headshots, and they'll literally sit there for the first like 10 minutes, maybe longer, for the raid, just to see if someone runs past. I know this from experience, so I know when I spawn anywhere southeast on the map on Shoreline, I'm just not running anywhere in that open field. I'm just not going to do it, straight up. I'll go around and I'll take the long way, and I know it's safer that way, but at least I won't get head tapped from 1,000 meters away by Billy Bob and his teammate Terrence just laying down there with their long range sniper rifles just waiting for me to pop my head up. I'm just not going to do it. So I see that with a lot of new players too. They don't really know the terrain too well, and they kind of just run out in the open a lot of the time. I feel like this is a big mistake, so this is definitely something to consider and something to that'll help you with your survival rate. So the best thing you can do about this one is to learn the terrain and learn where all the spawn points are for each map, and that will give you a rough idea of where the players will be, so you can be on the lookout for it. So here's tip number 5. New players and intermediate players do this a lot, and this is stamina management. So people have a really bad habit of just full-on sprinting, using up their entire stamina gauge and all their endurance, and then they'll be out of gas, and they'll just have to walk for like, I don't know, a few seconds, and then they'll start sprinting again. This is actually a big mistake, because if you get shot while you've got no stam, you're dead, man. Like, because you can't run anywhere. So never go the full tank. Please don't do that. What you should do is try and run, and always constantly keep an eye on your stamina gauge. Okay, I would recommend for new players, try and never go below 30% ish, Even a little bit higher than that would be better, like keeping it around like 35 to 40%, just around that area. Because when you start getting shot and you get hit, sometimes it'll sap your stamina whenever you get shot, and then you'll lose a portion of whatever's left of your stamina, and then you're kind of just screwed when that happens. So when you get hit, you need to make sure that you have a little bit of gas left in the tank. So if you start getting shot at and you get hit, you can dart left and right or go wherever direction that you need to go to get to safety so you don't die on the spot, okay? So if you're the type of person who sprints everywhere and you don't even consider your stamina and how to manage it, the second that you get shot, you're just going to die. And this could have easily have been avoided if you manage your stamina a little bit better compared to just sprinting everywhere and not considering having a little bit of gas left in the tank. This is a big one, and I see this happen way too often. So learn to manage your stamina a bit more and more effectively, and then when it saves your ass when you're getting shot at and you actually got the ability to move left and right, you can thank me later. Alright, last one. One of the main reasons that you keep dying and not surviving your raids is because you keep losing your fights against the other players. So I'm talking specifically about when you actually have a duel and you're actually having a head-on fight with another player. A lot of the time, people will make mistakes or they get outplayed or something like that. It happens, man. It's happened to me a billion times. I've learned a lot from my mistakes, and I suggest you do the same. Try go and record your gameplay. That's one of the big things that I did. Watch it back and try and see where you went wrong, like what you could have done differently, and then try and apply that. Like maybe next time when you're in that similar situation, you can try and do that instead. But the reason why this guide isn't necessarily all about PvP is because I wanted to make it more about the mistakes that people make that they're unaware of. They're not even aware that they're doing it, and that's a big thing. If you keep dying by making mistakes that you're unaware of, that's something that you gotta fix. Alright, now we got that stuff out the way, I want to get into some examples because I want to show you some familiar scenarios and we need to explain a few important notes to consider. Here we go. So this is the first scenario that I'm going to show you. I'm in a woods raid. I'm rocking a DT MDR 556 weapon with the burst scope, and I happen to get this somewhat long range kill on this player who I spotted was trying to, I don't know what he was doing in that bush, but he's trying to get in that bush for some reason, and I get the headshot on him, and here's where the problem occurs. Look where his position is. Look where he died. Look where the position of the body. What's wrong with this picture? It should be obvious. He's dead, right out in the open. There's no way in hell I can loot this body. Like, there's just no chance. Like, look from this perspective here, from me on top of this rock. I'll pause it right here. There are so many places where I can just get shot from if I'm trying to loot this body. So this is going to happen to you a lot of the time. You'll get a kill on a player. He looks so geared, and you're like, oh boy, I want that. I want that so bad. But look where he is. This is a situation and a scenario that I classify as unlootable. This body's not lootable. You can't get to this body. If you honestly think you can jump on this body and be safe with it and get away with it, then you go right ahead, my friend. But I, on the other hand, I'm not getting on that body unless I know for a fact I've killed the majority of the players on the map, because this is just way too dangerous. If you honestly think you can just run up to that body and loot it, then best of luck to you, man, but I'm not touching that. Hell to the no. A lot of the time, you get killed in this game when you can't actually defend yourselves, and this is one of those situations. So, it's just an easy kill for anyone on the map. Remember before, back in the video, I talked about unknown factors and things that you need to consider that people wouldn't even be thinking of? One of those things in this situation would be he could have teammates. Some players like to spread out, and they don't really stick together. This could be one of those situations. I don't know if he's got teammates watching his body. And if he's got teammates, chances are he's telling them through Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever, telling his teammates where he thinks he got killed from and whereabouts his body is. So they've got additional information to use against me. Another one of those unknown factors that people need to consider is that someone might have been watching him. Someone might have been eyeballing that player and I killed him first. Now he's like, oh, I heard that. That's to my left. That's somewhere near the big rock. So now he's looking at me. That player who was eyeballing him is now eyeballing me. So he's waiting for me to go jump on that body, and it's just an easy one tap to the head. Like, these are just things that you need to think about. Don't just immediately, ooh, that's mine. No. Think about it for a second, dude. Think about it. There's just too many things that could go wrong here, and I would classify this as unlootable, and I would honestly just move on unless I am 100% certain that there's no one else around, and if my chances are good, I'll go for it. So this situation is going to happen to you a lot, and you're going to be unsure whether you should go for it or you should not go for it. And it comes down to this one solid fundamental thing you got to ask yourself every time you decide you want to go loot a dead player's body. This is what you have to say to yourself in your mind. Is it worth dying for? And if you can't figure out a good reason why it's a good reason to die for, then don't loot it. It's that simple. If you think it's worth dying for, then you go right ahead, man. But for me, I'm not risking it. I feel like surviving is probably going to be more worthwhile, and it's not going to bother me that much because I know I will kill other players and I will accumulate more loot later on. So this particular one, this one circumstance doesn't really matter to me. And there will always be more chances later on to loot other players' gear that's not in such a compromised position. So this one will be another familiar scenario that you'll get yourself into. And with this one, I also offer a solution. So this is a scenario where I get into a fight with a two-man squad. I end up killing both of them. And I make actually a really good decision here. After I kill the second player, and I'm getting my bearings, reloading my Mosin or whatever that is I need to do. As you can see the position of the bodies of the two players, I choose to loot the body who is the most exposed first. So I go loot the body who's more out in the open compared to the second body. Because the second body, as you can see, is kind of tucked in a way, and I've got cover, so it's hard for people to actually just roll up on me. And I do this first because I want to do this quickly, and I want to get whatever I want from him and get back into cover ASAP. And I do it fast, and I do it first. So the reason why I do it first is because I don't want to wait too long for an opportunity for other players to converge on my position and kind of surround me. And then as I'm looting the body that's out in the open, they could easily find like a million different ways to kill me. So I do that first, I do it quickly, and then I immediately go back into cover and I loot the second body, which is safer. So that's kind of what I wanted to point out. Choosing to loot the safer player last, and I loot the riskier player first. It might not seem like a big deal, but it's just little things like that, the little small decisions like that, which will save your life. It's just things like that that people, once again, probably don't even think of and don't really consider. And it's because of things like that which helps me increase my chances of survival, which in turn increases my survival rate. Alright guys, that's all I got for you today, and that's the end of the video. I hope you all learned something, I hope you found it useful and educational, and most of all, I hope it gave you a better understanding on how to increase your survival rate so you can become a better player in Escape from Tarkov. I will be doing more guides, and I already have a few other videos in the works, which will all be educational videos for EFT. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions. I am more than happy to answer any Tarkov related questions that you may have. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Subscribing helps me out quite a bit, guys, so thank you all so far for the support. Feel free to drop by the live stream and say hello sometime. I stream 6 days a week at twitch.tv/Quamii. All other details will be in the description box down below. Thank you all for watching. Remember to keep practicing, keep learning, keep improving, stay Quam, and hopefully I'll see you on the live stream.